Remove yourself from the matrix. Just some notes. Just a few notes that I'm just writing in my journal and thinking about. And I think we all need to remove ourselves sometimes from the matrix, whether it's the political matrix, the news, financially, your job, whatever it might be in your life. You have to remove yourself sometimes because, as we all tend to do from time to time, we tend to get in our own heads and we let other people and other things influence what we're doing. And we've just had so many questions lately. And truth be told, it's very hard to even follow and figure out what is going on right now because things are moving so fast. And I keep giving this analogy of things are moving at light speed, where the coyote running off the cliff chasing the coyote or chasing the roadrunner, and we haven't even looked down yet. We're going so fast. We have so much momentum because we're so big and the economy is so big that it's just going straight still, and we haven't even looked down yet. And I've had a lot of good talks with a lot of different people, and everyone has different thoughts, right? The economy's going to collapse. We're going to be totally fine. It's funny, you talk to lenders and you talk to people in the financial world, and they tend to think, they just see the past and what has already happened, and that won't happen again because that's all they know, right? They've seen, well, the banks are stronger now and they're better now, so things are going to be okay. And it's funny because that's such a fraction of the economy and what's actually going on. There's so many massive things, like the Fed's talking about bailing out student loans and things like that, and it really is, which is the biggest asset of the federal government, by the way. That is such a fraction of what's going on. There's so many. We already, I think, have contracted 40%. We contracted 33% in the last downturn, and we contracted 40% already in 2 months. We took us 2 or 3 years last time. So anyway, the whole point of this is remove yourself from the matrix. Remember 10 years ago, in 08 or 12 years ago, I was a senior at Michigan State. And I remember being in my apartment and watching the economy just go crater through the floor. And I remember thinking to myself, I just remember vividly thinking, wow, what is going on right now? I need to figure out this game. There's something going on. There's something that's some type of game we're in. There's a matrix we're in. I need to figure that out and find out what is going on and what this all means, because it really was a defining moment in my life. The first defining moment in my life when it comes to the markets and economy was when we bought a bunch of Beanie Babies in the late 90s, so 10 years prior to that, and then those lost all their value. And then all the hockey cards I had as a child, I remember reading Beckett magazines. So if you guys, any of you card collectors remember Beckett's magazine, they would have the prices for all the cards. And I remember her cards I had that were $30, $50, $10, whatever. And I remember those going to just pennies on the dollar after the dot-com crash, after 2000. And same thing with Beanie Babies, et cetera. There was so much excess money in the system that it just didn't have anywhere to go. And so people were just buying, which brings me to another point, actually, which is there are pensions that are out there that have invested or are investing in Beanie Babies. So that's just to show you what's going on in this world right now of, your pension maybe or your 401k, what those things are being invested in. So just, coming full circle, just, make sure you're doing your due diligence. So anyway, removing yourself from the matrix. Remember, my next real adult experience in the economy was watching the economy just go through the floor, and during the 08 election. And just months before the election, I remember thinking, wow, there's a matrix we are in, and we have to figure out, I have to figure out what is going on. I mean, there's a game being played. Some people are getting wealthy, clearly, and a lot of people aren't. So what is going on? What's the difference between these people that are winning, and what's the difference between these people that are losing? And a lot of it, like we've spoken about, is in the head, right? A lot of it's between the ears. A lot of it's in the mind. A lot of it's your network and relationships and where you went to school and who your parents were and, what Ivy League did you go to? That's a lot of it, right? There's a big chunk of that there. However, there's still a chunk of people. If someone's done it, that means that you can do it too. If someone's done it that wasn't in the Ivy League school, if there's someone who did it who was your same skin color or whatever it is, if someone's done it, then it means it can be done, right? Just like Roger Bannister breaking the 4-minute mile. No one thought it could be done. Then he did it. Now, seemingly everyone can do it, right? It's been done a lot after that. Same thing with, I forget his name. I think it was like Edmund Hillary. I can't remember his exact name. It was something like that. But he's from New Zealand, I believe. And he was the first one to climb Mount Everest. People tried, frozen up there, never to come down again, right? He was the first one to do it. Him and his Sherpa. They wouldn't say who was the first one up there. which is pretty cool, actually, both of them. And then how many people have done it since then, right? So it's all in the mind. It's unbelievable when you really break it down and think about, okay, what is in my mind and what's going on, the story I'm telling myself constantly between my ears. Oh, my relationships aren't great, or my spouse sucks, or whatever it might be. That's a story you're telling yourself. Oh, I'm not making the income I want to, or oh, I'm overweight all the time, or I'm too skinny, I can't put on weight. That's up here. And yes, are there things that are physically challenging in your life? Yes, of course there are. However, everything you're telling yourself is what's actually manifesting itself out into reality. So if you think the economy sucks right now, it's going to suck. If you think it's great, it's going to be great. It's all up here, and it's all depends on your thinking, and that's going to get you from point A to point B. So whatever your story you're telling yourself, that's going to get you, that's going to be the path you lead from point A to point B. So removing yourself from the matrix, that is key in all this, because everything's coming so fast, so hot, and so heavy right now that no one knows what's going on. There isn't one person. You watch all the billionaires out there and all the different people, they all have different things and slight variations here and there of what they think is going to happen. So to be able to, I was talking to one of my friends today, and he was just asking about gold and silver and real estate and investing and hedging, your wealth and things like that. And it really is fascinating, because most people, you can't even talk to them about it because they don't speak the language. I remember Robert Kiyosaki always said, his rich dad, one of the big things he told him was speak the vocabulary of a wealthy person and be able to speak with them and talk like them, because it's really another language. It's another language to be able to talk like that, talk about bonds, talk about interest rates, talk about ROI and internal rates of return, know how bonds work and interest rates, know what negative rates mean, which is a new concept which we'll talk about this week actually and do a separate video on. But know how those things operate, and then you can then act. When you hear things, you can then act. It's like a language, right? Most people have no idea what's going on because it's a different language to them. When it comes on TV or there's a news article or something that happens, they see something on Facebook, they just automatically shut off because they have no idea what's being said. It's like someone just came up to you and spoke in Mandarin. You have absolutely no idea what would just happen. And that's the game coming now full circle. I remember 10, 12 years ago, and I'm sure most of you watching right now, thank you for all of you jumping in and joining in. I can't even see you right now because I don't have my glasses on. So I'll have to read them in a second, get really close to the camera. So I remember thinking that 12 years ago, I have to speak this language. I have to understand what's going on. I can't stand being unable to speak the language I want to speak. I can't stand that feeling of being trapped and being held back by something that I can figure out, I can learn. And that's what the last 10 years have been for me personally, has been learning that language. It's been, audio tapes and seminars and meetups and talking to people and Zoom calls and and more books and more audio tapes and podcasts, and just hours upon hundreds of hours of doing that over and over again for 10 years, and doing the real thing, simulating the real thing, playing games, doing the real thing, and talking to more people. And that's what really sets the tone for your life and gives you that ability to then remove yourself from the matrix ultimately and speak that language so you understand what's going on. You can make decisions that are best for you and your family moving forward, and you can be prepared and really calm in chaos. As Bob Proctor always says, there's the biggest opportunities lie in crisis, and the deeper the crisis, the bigger the opportunity. And that's what's coming forward. And I just, again, coming full circle and putting a bow on some of this, a lot of people asking what's going to happen to the economy. The aggregate of everything I see and the big people I listen to, and I'm not talking about economists and all that kind of gobbledygook, but I'm talking about, real legit, billionaires, multi-millionaires, and people that have businesses, they're huge investors. Most of those people, the aggregate is things are not looking good over the next year or two. And again, people on the micro level, they look at one thing like, oh, banks look good, or, well, rates, they'll really help the economy, or, hey, they strengthened the lending standards. So that has nothing to do with what's going on. No one should ever have that in their head anymore. That happened in the past, like breaking a bone. That's a strong point of your body now. It's going to break somewhere else. It's not going to break in the spot it just did again. So stop looking there. Stop looking in the past, right? There's nothing you can do about, as Bob Proctor says as well, there's nothing you can do. And then you have the hourglass, all the sand that's falling into the bottom. There's nothing you can do about the sand that's underneath now. There's nothing you can do about the sand up top. You have no idea how much sand you have left either in your life. All you can focus on is that sand passing through the middle of the hourglass right this second. So it's going to be something different, right? We have massive, massive credit debt. consumer debt. We have massive just national debt. We have massive unfunded liabilities. We have massive global debt, and incredibly just insane money printing, currency printing, and just huge bubbles everywhere. Student loan debt, obviously, right, nearing 2 trillion, getting closer to 2 trillion. So it's going to be a number of other things. Coronavirus, obviously, just locking everyone down. Those are those pins that are going to pop the bubble, and all, you know, the music will stop at some point. There's only so many chairs left. So that's where understanding removing yourself from the matrix, understanding the game, understanding the language is what's going to ultimately give you, like I said, it's going to give you that ability to thrive and to make this transfer of wealth from, you know, the people that don't understand, the people that can't see what's going on. That transfer of wealth is going to go from those people to the people who understand the game and are running the game. Either one of those two. So you either got to be running the game, or you have to understand the game, you have to speak the language. Those are the two ways, and it happens every crash. Like, if you study these crashes, guys, it happens every single time. Every crash is just history. I am fortunate because I love history. History is fascinating to me. My father made it very interesting for me, and I loved it growing up, where in school they make it so boring and so terribly painstaking that you don't want to learn history. I think there's a reason behind that. I think that there was something bigger behind that, and that's why people don't want you to know history. It keeps you under people's control. When you don't understand the mistakes you've made, your ancestors have made in the past, you are doomed to make those mistakes again. It's just common sense. It's just human history. So reading history and learning history, that is how we learn from the past. Again, it doesn't automatically say it's going to happen again, but it rhymes, right? There are very similar patterns and charts, and we have thousands of years of history to go through and watch those patterns, and that's what enables you to foretell the future. So anyway, remove yourself from the matrix, starting where we started from the beginning as well. Make sure you're spending some time in thought. This big thing the last year or two, in the last 2 years, have really helped even level up more, is just getting into my head and being quiet, being still, meditation, more prayer, stuff like that, and writing my thoughts down. Been keeping a journal for 2 years now, every single day. And those kind of things are just things that not only am I going to look back on and be glad I did, and I hope my kids, my posterity will be glad, but also just being able to get my thoughts out and be clear and be calm and not have that all built up in my head, because we all do that, right? We all build things up in our head. So I just hope that you guys can get some of that calmness, because that's something I wish that everyone had, is just the calmness. And it's something that I'm glad that I've been focusing on the last couple of years, because it's helped so tremendously. Because in this world we live in this matrix we live in, we're so plugged in all the time with our phones and the TV and the internet and all this stuff, that it's just everything's going a mile a minute. We don't even know what to believe. We don't even know what to trust half the time, and it just gets so crazy. We just explode. We get in fights with people. We get into road rage. We get into whatever it may be, because we're so wound up. So relax, unplug, remove yourself from the matrix. This is what a great time right now to be doing that. And I hope and wish that upon so many of you. So let's see here. Appreciate you guys all jumping on. Literally, you guys thought I was joking. I literally can't see. So, but anyway, appreciate you guys a ton. We'll have a video this week about removing yourself from the matrix. And it's getting way darker on the camera than it is out here, unfortunately. But negative interest rates and some more tactical stuff. I wanted to get into that more this week, and how it's going to affect us, because this is something that we talked about last year that I really thought was going to be coming, and I think it's going to. We're seeing the signs already. We're seeing some of the futures point towards negative rates, and that literally impacts every single one of you. So every single one of you talking on here right now, negative rates will impact you. And just to give you a sneak peek, that means you are paying the bank to hold your money. So you have that savings account or checking account, whatever it is. That means you are paying that bank, that credit union, whatever it is, to hold your money. So, there's a million ways around that we had Ron Sneller on the other day talking about, life insurance, and how the wealthy and how banks actually save their cash and stuff like that. So there's a million ways to do it. There's also things you can do with your cash. You don't have to necessarily go into life insurance and get more life insurance or whatever, but there are tons of ways. There are different ways to do stuff. So we'll get into a handful this week and the positives and negatives of that, because as we always say, right, there's three sides of the coin. Knowing each side of the coin and being able to be on the edge of it, so you can make the best decision for you. And then also hoping to have some big guests on the show this week, on the podcast, on the YouTube show. So you have an array of people as well. So talking about adversity, talking about creative real estate, some different stuff like that. So we're going to have some really fun people over the coming weeks, and I'm excited because we're going to share it on it'll be on YouTube and the podcast, stuff like that. Still working on a name, got a project name. We're still working on a name there. So let me know if you have any ideas. And then before I drown out in the darkness here, and so that's going to be fun. But I think you guys will get a kick out of that. But we will be putting them onto Facebook here as well. So appreciate you guys more than you know. So Marie, Goo, David, appreciate you guys all jumping on here. So I can't even see you guys anymore because it's so dark. So appreciate all you guys jumping on. Bunch of silent warriors here watching. So I appreciate you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. And like I said, I look forward to talking about negative rates this week and all the people we're going to be bringing on the show here in the future. If you guys know any really cool people that should be on the show that we should interview at some point, please let me know that as well, because that would be awesome. So I have a huge list of people that I have kind of pointed out and pegged. But yeah, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that, who you might know. So appreciate you guys. Remove yourself from the matrix. Take time to do some more prayer, some meditation, and to be with your family, obviously, during this time, but also get inside your own head. What are those thoughts that are going on? I think one of the coolest things too, one of the cool things I remember Bob Proctor years ago, like 7-8 years ago, when I saw him in person a bunch of times. I had the good fortune of going to his house in Toronto, and his wife gave me a couple of his books somehow, some way. And he always, I don't even know what I was going to say now, but go watch Bob. That's all I got to say is go watch Bob. And he really is incredible. He is someone that will change your life, and he's changed mine. So it's removing yourself from the matrix, get into your own thoughts, get into your own mind, and be calm and be still, because that's what's going to ultimately bring you self-awareness. Oh, that's what I was going to say. He always talked about, there's a guy, I think it was in Think and Grow Rich, actually. Bob would talk about him all the time. He would talk about how when he had really hard thoughts or hard problems or things he needed to do, he would talk about going into this state where he would either meditate or go into like a pre-sleep or something like that. And he would go in with the people that he admired the most in his life. And he would basically have a round table and put out these thoughts to all of these people and let them solve them. So I can't remember who exactly was on his table, but it was like Nikola Tesla, it was like Jesus, Abraham Lincoln, something like that. It was like 12 people where he would go through and then literally act out and think about what they would say to him. How would they act? What would they say to him to help resolve his problem? And I think that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever heard. And it's like, who thinks of that, number one? But number two, I've tried that numerous times in my life. That's one thing I've not done consistently, though. But I'm going to try that more, actually, because that is such a cool and fascinating thing to do, and like a smart thing to do, that you get into the mind of someone else and how they would act and how they would think, and then help them or help you solve your own problems by thinking about how they would look at that. So he would literally create his own panel of all-stars and advisors, and they would help him. So pretty dang cool. But anyway, I'm going to get the heck out of here just at 9 o'clock. So getting super late. Got to go finish my notes, finish my thoughts. So we'll see you guys later this week on some of the shows, but also, like I said, negative rates coming this week. Hope you guys have a good night.